Welcome to another conversation off the clock. I'm Carmina Constantino Torres. This is Casey After Hours. In the recent Senate hearing, we saw a familiar face yet again. There with Tony Yang, a person who's implicated in criminal activities linked to illegal pogo operations was attorney Raymond Fortun. Fresh from the Carlos Yulo versus Mother episode, he finds himself now representing another controversial client. So I got to thinking, is this Fortun's fortune? Why does he always end up representing what some people would call questionable clients? Ano ba ang criteria ni Attorney Fortun sa pagpipili ng kanyang mga kliyente? Let's find out. Joining us today, Attorney Raymond Fortun. All right, welcome to our humble home studio. It's nice to see you again. Kamusta?
It's my pleasure, Carmina.
Nagsisisi ka na ba na tumuo ka sa akin?
Maliit lang, no, na merong konting pagdududa kasi alam naman how your reputation precedes you.
This is different. Hopefully, this is gonna be a more laid-back conversation between the two of us. Hindi, try natin.
Duda ako, pero sige, I'll try.
Okay, so let's cut to the chase. How did you end up representing Tony Yang?
I don't know. I think there is a couple of lawyers who represents the people who know him, no, part of the corporations that he is with, who asked that I be his counsel. Meron talagang problem initially because, of course, no, there's a tendency to associate yung brother who is really my initial client,
Exactly.
si Michael.
Akala ko, pinaki siya ng kuya niya.
Hindi.
Ay,
hindi.
ano ba siya? Kuya ba siya or baby brother?
Si Tony is older.
Oo, pinaki siya ni nakababatang kapatid sa'yo.
Actually, ayaw talaga nila.
Ayaw nila ikaw.
Yes, ayaw nung mga grupo, yung mga tao ni Michael Yang na ako yung maging counsel for Tony.
Bakit?
Because of that, no, yung that tendency to associate one with the other. And the truth is, and this is the truth, actually hindi naman sila close.
Yung magkapatid.
Hindi sila close.
Oh.
Meron silang, I don't know, probably an away. They didn't want to specify. No? Basta yun lang masabi na, hindi daw sila close. And because of that, so even pagdating ngayon sa choice of lawyers, they didn't want basically to share me.
I see. But you still represent Michael Yang.
I represent Michael Yang. Well,
Yeah.
I haven't been fired.
But where is he? Yun yung tanong nung iba. Nasaan ba siya? And is he going to show up at all?
He's out of the country, so he is free to decide whether he will be coming back or not. I'm not, no, I really can't tell him to come back, no. Kasi take a look at what's happening in Congress and in the Senate. You know, there are mixed reactions about the legitimacy of all of these accusations, whether these congressmen and senators are acting on the basis of a love for country or just a love for self, or that all of these hearings are really part of a plan to get themselves reelected.
Let's talk about love for country. You're a Filipino. Tony Yang has already said na hindi siya Pilipino.
Yeah.
It's already apparent when you listen to the hearings na itong isang taong to made a mockery of our systems, including our laws. Ikaw, isang Pilipinong abogado. Where do you draw the line there? Mahal mo rin ang bansa mo. And yet
Definitely.
here you are representing someone who has made a mockery of our system.
Okay, what is the first thing that a lawyer does? It is to do proper counsel. And what I advised him when I met him was, you go ahead and tell the truth. That's my job as a lawyer, no? Hindi yung mga paikot-ikot trying to invoke right to self-incrimination and right to remain silent, no, yung mga ganyan. You will notice in all of the hearings that Tony Yang has appeared, he has gone forward and admitted everything that he could. He has not made any invocations of any personal rights. And you will see, upon first presentation of the fact that there is this birth certificate, he went out and said, it's not me. No, it's falsified. So that's my job as counsel. And because of my love for country, you go ahead and make it easy for the truth to come out.
And when he found out that that was going to be your, I don't know, do you call it a strategy? Kung yun yung sinabi mong gawin niya, anong sabi niya?
Yes.
Kasi may incriminate siya eh.
Yeah, but the truth is sooner or later it's gonna come out. So This is a Senate investigation. When the time comes, when the complaint is filed in courts, that's the time that we will defend ourselves. We'll let him explain why it happened. And ano ba yung explanation niya? His explanation was, it is for the convenience of him to do business in the country. Which is probably, you know, I've been speaking with a lot of people. He's not the only Chinese who's actually done that. No? Yung getting
It doesn't
Filip-
make it right.
Certainly, but what I'm saying is that it is something that is not uncommon. Okay, people getting a birth certificate so that it becomes convenient for them to do business, get licenses, get themselves in corporations. Okay, so long as it is a legitimate business. And the way that I've seen it, wala namang illegal na ginagawa si Tony Yang. He has this steel corporation, which even up to now, despite a number of hearings already, both in Senate and in the House, walang makapagpakita that they're doing anything illegal. So sa akin, at the end of the day, what is the crime? I have an idea of what the crime is, but I'm not going to be teaching prosecutors about what they should charge him with. And when the time comes, now that the charge is there, we'll defend him for whatever evidence and whatever defense that the law will allow.
Alam mo, Atty. Fortun, marami na rin nagtatanong sa akin, ano ba ang patutunguhan ng mga investigasyon, yung mga pagdinig dyan sa Senado? I'm going to throw the question back at you. Do you think it's going to go somewhere? Where do you think this is headed?
Honestly, personally, I'd like a number of laws to be amended. Ayan na lang, yung tungkol dun sa late registration, no? I think there has to be tougher laws on how to validate people are making applications. How about in Pogo? No, thankfully the president has already come out and considered all Pogos as without any license. That's a good start for me as well. Probably a tightening of laws on how our borders are being protected.
Hindi ikaw yung tao, ikaw ba yung isang tao na magsasabing huwag ka magsalita, yung magko-coach sa likod at sasabihin, invoke your right against self-incrimination. Have you ever done so?
I don't recall having ever done that in any legislative investigation.
So pag naririnig mo ngayon, yung mga nangyayari sa kasalukuyang mga pagdinig, what comes to mind?
Well, again, no, it's up to each lawyer to make a examination of conscience, whether it is something that moves forward the wheels of justice or not. Now, merong kasing instances wherein there are indeed pending cases already before the prosecutors. So the rule that you have a right to remain silent, anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law, actually already is a defense that you can raise. In the case of Tony Yang, wala pang kaso actually na napafile laban sa kanya. Even yun doon sa Bureau of Immigration, of course, he's being charged with being an undesirable alien, supposedly because of yung kanyang late registration, not being a Filipino. But, per se, no, it's not really a criminal case, no, it's a deportation case. So I didn't want to make any splitting of hairs pagdating doon sa ganon. Sa akin, again, it is in the best interest of the Filipino people, no, to know what really happened. Now, if they feel that Tony Yang had committed a mistake that is grievous enough for him to be put in jail, then we'll let the courts decide that.
Well, that's Tony Yang. What about Michael Yang?
Well, again, what is Michael Yang being charged with? What? All we've heard are accusations of being involved with Pogo, being involved with drugs. Nasaan yung ebidensya? And, I've been
So yung
asking.
formally, the whole investigation regarding formally and the recommendation of the Blue Ribbon Committee then, hindi yun gumalaw? Walang kaso?
No, there was a complaint before the ombudsman and his case was dismissed. So what does that mean? There was really no evidence against him. All that happened in that 6-month period where there were hearings conducted by the Blue Ribbon Committee before Senator Gordon, they were all trashed by the ombudsman. They said, you don't have any evidence against him. All you have are insinuations, accusations, unfounded connections to this and that. Tying, the ultimate objective was to try to make President Duterte a co-conspirator in everything. No, The ombudsman himself said that there was absolutely no evidence on it.
How does that make you feel, Attorney Fortun, na itong mga questionable characters, according to a lot of people, I'm not just gonna say some, and I know you know this, bakit parang it's only a handful that comes to mind when you think of lawyers who are going to represent them? If it's not Harry, it's Ferdy. If it's not Ferdy, then it's Archie. It's Attorney Raymond Fortun. Does perception matter to you?
No, well, at the end of the day, the only perception that matters to me is whether I'm doing what I'm doing in order to please the Lord. That is all. I am not accountable to anybody else except the standards that the Lord has set. Hopefully, whatever I do would be enough, no, and that I would prove worthy to be in His kingdom.
But then, the clientele is enough to judge you too. Hindi mo ba nararamdaman yun? Or anong pakiramdam mo na people are judging you as well for the clients that you represent?
They can judge me whatever way they want because they don't know me as a person. I mean, very totally different from what you see. So now if people are going to say that I'm a bad person because of the clients that I hold, they have I'll just say that they have a misunderstanding or misappreciation of what a lawyer does. End of the day, a lawyer is really just there to protect people, regardless of whether they are perceived to be guilty or not. Yeah.
Sino ang pinaka mahirap na makatrabaho?
Wala. Honestly, wala. I've handled Chris, Jaja, Claudine Barreto, Vicky Bello, Willie Revillame, Gabby Concepcion. Wala eh. Alam mo,
Bakit puro artista yung binanggit mo?
pwede
So,
ko
mga
rin naman
celebrities.
pwede ko naman sabihin si Bong Revilla, si even Juan Ponce Enrile, I got to work with him. Michael Yang, Cedric Lee. Okay, if you want to talk about the controversial people, fine. No, but you see, wala eh. No, because sa akin, iisa lang yung pamantayan ko. Sabi ko, I will continue to represent you, but please do not make me do two things. One, don't make me bring out a witness who's going to tell a lie in court. Number two, please don't make me present a document that is falsified or forged. In other words, kung ano yung lalabas na ebidensya sa husgado, yun ang katotohanan. And I will never be, and nor will I allow myself to be an instrument for an untruth to come out or for an untruth to be put forward. I will not allow it.
Yung mga ibang kliyente na nakikita mo from the get-go, nagsisinungaling na sa'yo,
Okay.
do you say no? Pwede ka bang humindi sa mga kliyente?
As a matter of principle, meaning from what we learned from law school,
Yeah.
you can't.
Cannot.
Because it is a duty of a lawyer to, in the defense of a person accused of a crime, by all fair and honorable means, and even regardless of your own personal opinion as to his guilt or innocence, to present every evidence that the law permits, so long as due process is served. So from a matter of principle, actually, you cannot. The only reason that you can actually say no is if there is a conflict of interest, meaning that yung kabila happens to also be your client, and you will be in a position where you will be forced now to go against a client.
Ay, nagkaroon na ba ikaw ng kliyente na medyo taliwas sa paninindigan mo, pero hindi ka nga makahindi because of the oath that you took as a lawyer?
Very recently, there was somebody who asked for my service, pero hinindian ko. I came out with this excuse lang na actually kakilala ko din yung kalaban. Pero per se, because it was something that for me was contrary to my own sense of morals.
And Michael Yang, Tony Yang, not contrary to your own set of morals?
From the way that evidence has been shown, no. Again, are they involved in Pogo? I haven't seen any evidence on it. Are they involved in drugs? There are accusations? No. I'll tell you one thing. During the Senate investigation proceedings, so I would be going to Davao practically every week. Practically every week. I would be staying at his house. And alam mo,
This is Michael Yang.
this is Michael Yang. And I I've handled all sorts of clients, including drug lords. Michael Yang is not one. Iba
Why do you say
Iba
so?
yung kilos eh. Number one, wala ka makikita mga bodyguards. Yung mga drug lords, takot sa sariling anino yan. They will always be looking, yung makikita
O
mo
kunyari yan,
umiikot.
bakit ka magre-represent ng drug lords? Hindi ba yun contrary sa principles mo?
Again, if the evidence warrants that they should be set free, why not? Diba? Kasi again, I'm not the judge. No, if you have evidence against him, fine, show it. And then, if he gets convicted, magangang loob ko eh. Kasi ang trabaho ko lang is just so that justice is served. That's all. And I'll protect his rights. Minsan kasi may mga lumalabas na ebidensya na bogus eh. Alam mo yun, yung falsifikado.
Bakit ka umayaw dun sa isa, yung kinukwento mo kanina?
High-profile case na sa tingin ko guilty yung tao.
Eh di namimili ka din.
Based on my own set of morals, yes. So, in the case nga of Michael Yang or Tony Yang, I take a look at the case. And then if I see that he's being unfairly accused, I'm gonna defend. Ganun kasimple.
Why do you put yourself into this situation considering that many years ago you actually thought about quitting? And that was after there was an assassination attempt on your wife, which you believed was really meant for you.
Yeah.
At that time, I talked to you then, I remember, you were ready to call it quits. Parang is this all worth it still? But now you find yourself back in the limelight and you're once again there doing what you did prior to the assassination attempt. Why?
Because I feel that I have a certain purpose, and take myself out of it, somebody else, of course, is gonna take my place. And would that person be doing the way that I'm doing it? I've always believed that my life is pretty charmed. There are so many instances where I could have gone wrong and didn't. There were so many instances where I felt that I got more blessings than I deserved. And for me, God was telling me something. God was saying, you have a particular role that you have to play.
Would it be only, controversial and high-profile clients for Attorney Fortun? Bakit hindi ka namin nakikita? Siguro yun yung tanong ng iba. Bakit hindi ka namin nakikita na nagiging abogado ng mga pangkaraniwang tao?
I was. Didn't I defend that cyclist who some former policeman pulled out a gun and binatukan? Out of the blue, I would do that, even without any compensation in return.
So may ganun ka naman.
Just recently, I defended Mrs. Yulo from people who were making fake memes about her. And I said, guys, I'm not supposed to bash her on media. What did I do? I made sure that she will make one last press conference, and it finished.
Nag-usap tayo noon eh. I remember, ang sabi mo sa kanya, sundin lang niya kung anong sinabi ko sa kanyang gawin, kung hindi sasabunutan ko siya.
Yeah.
And she followed you.
Yes. So to this day, you will see she's not spoken out at all.
There was one voice that it spoke to your heart when she was bloodied, when she was bleeding, when she was fighting for her life, and she said, "I'd take a bullet for you," and that was your wife after that assassination attempt. I can just imagine the conversation that happened after that for you to even think you just want to quit. But she's also still being very supportive.
Yes.
Anong klase ang relasyon ninyong mag-asawa? Na kahit na nasa bingit na siya ng kamatayan nung mga panahon na yon, at ikaw naman gusto mo nang mag-give up, nandito pa rin kayo. Bakit pwede naman kayo manahimik, mag-enjoy na lang kayong dalawa?
I really asked her that time when she was in the hospital, and I said, "Do you want me to quit my law practice?" And she said no. She said, "If you quit, then the people who shot a bullet to me would have won." And at that moment, I felt she was right. Indeed, if I stopped, then what would happen to all the people who'd probably be able to benefit from the work, the purity of my work that I'm going to be doing?
Did you ever find out who ordered the hit?
No. My wife and I, we would joke about it, no? Sabi nga niya, alam mo, pag nahanap ng mga pulis yung bumaril sa akin, bibigyan ko pa yan ng medalya.
Kasi,
Oh, we became much, much closer after that. You know, takot ako sa dugo eh. Alam ng wife ko yan. Pero alam mo, during the time that she got out of the hospital, for 4 months yun, ako yung naglilinis talaga ng sugat niya, yung dito sa likod. Talagang morning, and then pagdating sa gabi, lalanggasin ko yun, lalagyan ko ng yung tawag dito para ma-disinfect. No? Every time, no? Tapos yung when she would do yung mga rehab exercises niya, ako yung magpuput up nung kamay niya para lumakas yung shoulder niya. Basta yung pupunta kami sa simbahan, tapos maglalakad siya, no? Na medyo mabato, I would really hold her hand and aakayin ko. And all of this, hindi ko naman masasabi sacrifice, pero efforts, no? All were rewarded because 4 months after that, we began playing golf again.
Golf tapos, kaya ka ba nagpaka-army?
Hindi, yung naging army ako, na yun, pandemic. It was pandemic. No, prior to the pandemic, hindi talaga ako nanonood ng mga Korean telenovelas na yan, tapos hindi ko alam yung BTS na yan. Tapos, syempre, di ba, 4 months ka nakakulong dun sa loob ng bahay, no? My wife, whenever she would ride the indoor bicycle, she would switch on the YouTube. Tapos, may patutugtugin na yung kanta na mga Koreano. So minsan sabi kong ganun, paulit-ulit na lamang ito at yun yung pinakikinggan niya. Tiningnan ko naman, ang gagaling pala nila sumayaw.
Oo naman.
Sabi ko nga ganyan, alam mo, talo pa nila si Michael Jackson na sumayaw. So, it was then that,
Yun
wala
talaga yung reference natin. Hindi naman namuwirdohan sa inyo mga anak nyo.
Nawiwirdohan.
Okay lang kayo.
I
mean, you're 61.
I'm 60.
You're 60, sorry. You're 60, diba? You just have to live your life the way you want to live it.
Yung misis ko, army di syempre, pagbigyan mo na lang, diba? I mean, diba, happy wife, happy life.
Totoo yun, ha?
Totoo talaga.
Note to all the husbands out there, totoo talaga yun. Pag maligaya ang asawa nyo, maligaya ang buhay ninyo. Totoo yun. So, what do you do? What do you do to get away from it all? Yung para sa'yo lang, ha? Yung para sa'yo lang.
I bike. No, for me, it's very liberating. And it's also a healthy kind of lifestyle. So, my wife naman then also allows me, So, pag sinabi ko, Mama, penge bike. Mama, penge bike. Pinagbibigyan din naman ako paminsan-minsan.
So meron naman pala. Kasi akala ko naman hingi ka lang ng hingi at hindi ka binibigyan. Binibigyan ka naman pala.
Binibigyan ako, pero kailangan magtrabaho muna ako.
Syempre naman.
So minsan, pag sinabi ko, Mama, penge bike, sasabihin niya, trabaho ka pa muna, kulang pa yung ginagawa mo. So, ako naman, just continue to do work.
So, if it's not biking, if it's not listening to how many? 48 hours of... Is it 48 hours of songs?
60 plus, yeah. Yun doon sa phone ko.
Of K-pop? Not just, or BTS?
Yung BTS, 48. Tapos yung mga original soundtrack ng mga Korean telenovelas, yung mga Alchemy of Souls, yung Descendants of the Sun, Goblin. Yung asawa ko nga kasi hinatak talaga ako dyan sa ganyan Before ayaw kong manood. Ngayon, meron siya ngayon. Ito, recently lamang. So, we had a badminton tournament. Tapos sabi niya, alam mo, pag tinalo mo yung team namin, kailangan daw for her birthday, manood daw ako ng Boys Over Flowers.
Ang luma na nun.
Yun daw yung first time na naging siya, na nahilig siya sa Korean telenovelas. Sabi kong ganyan, sino si Gu Jung-pyo? Sabi ko, hindi ko naman type So sabi ko, please,
sumusunod ka naman. Kailangan, kasi penge bike.
Yun naman ang kapalit di ba? So,
okay. So if it's not biking, if it's not listening to 60 plus hours of songs, whether it's BTS or OSTs of Korean telenovelas, what do you do after hours? What does Attorney Raymond Fortun do after hours?
It's the highlight of my day. After dinner, my wife and I, we would go upstairs and we would watch Netflix. Yun ang paborito namin talaga. So, for example, manunood kami ng one season ng K-drama, the title of which she will choose. Then, next season, American naman. So, ganun parati kami, alternate. But it is really the highlight of my day. In fact, people know this. I'm not a party person. I do not like going to socials. I do not like being invited to this and that. Gusto ko, umuwi ako, kasama ko yung asawa ko, no? Tapos, uupo lang kami dun sa kama, manunood kami ng TV, tapos yung while watching, we would be eating fruits, eating chips, no? Ganyan until we fall asleep and that's it. Actually, hindi pa nga kagad matutulog yan kasi manunood pa siya ng mga BTS. Anong tawag doon?
Yung mga Run BTS episodes.
Yun. 2 hours yun. Grabe yan. Natutulog na ako, antok na ako. Pinatay ko na yung ilaw dun sa kwarto and then, nandun pa rin siya. She would put on her earphones. Tapos manunood pa rin siya ng mga Run BTS niya. Sabi ko, ganyan. But okay na. If it makes her happy, sa akin, masaya na din ako.
I think parang knowing you and observing you for so many decades now. Oo. Matagal
Ang tanda ko na pala.
Matagal na. Mas matanda ka pa rin sa akin. Pero parang I think you've come to a point that you've figured it out. You've figured it out how life should be for you.
At some point, yes, probably siguro, especially after my wife got shot. It made me realize that, life is short and that I have a purpose. And the purpose is basically, just to uncomplicate my life. Take away all of the distractions and focus on the essentials. What is that? Family, work, your relations with others, and of course, pleasing the Lord. Sa akin, yan na talaga eh. So, yeah, kaya magaan parati yung loob ko eh. I mean, I don't really care what other people think about me because sa akin, if I'm doing things the right way, if I'm not violating any of my moral principles na kinalakihan ko, I don't really care. Bahala kayo. As I said, hindi naman kayo yung nagpapakain sa akin eh.
Attorney Raymond Fortun, thanks for joining us here for another conversation off the clock. Thanks again.
You're welcome.
And thank you for watching another conversation off the clock. You know the drill. Like and subscribe. I'm Carmina Constantino Torres. See you on the next episode of Casey After Hours.